So, hello, I am back for the second part of my book club, which is Vex King's Good Vibes, Good Life. Now, for those of you that are seeing this for the first time, what I'm doing is I'm reading through this book from start to finish and giving a little bit of my commentary along the way. Now, the reason I'm doing this is I've already done one book club, which is Manifest by Roxie Nfosi. And a lot of people really, really loved it. And I really love doing it because it really made me read a book that I've wanted to read for ages and spend the time really giving it some thoughts. And as I said in the first episode of this book club, the reason I chose the Vex King Good Vibes, Good Life book is because so many people I know of all ages have read it and have absolutely loved it. I love the writing style. I love the fact that Vex is really giving lots of real life examples for what's been important to him, what's worked and what hasn't. It's really written from the heart, and it actually takes a really exceptional writer to take a complicated matter and write it in such a simple way. You know, that's a real skill. And I love this book because you can pick it up, you can read a little bit, you can read a lot of it and not lose your way and go back through certain sections. So I am reading from start to finish. So for those of you listening to this, I would recommend you go back and start at section 1, book club 1, which you'll find in the playlist below. Last time we got up to page 7, which is it's just started into part 1. So today we are going to start on page 7, which is There's Something Missing from the Law of Attraction. Now, what I would say, even though I'm reading through this from start to finish with little bits of my commentary in, if you can afford to go out and buy your own copy of the book, please do. It's a fantastic way for supporting the author, and you'll love it because you'll be able to put little bookmarkers in there, annotate it to your use, put mark pages that you want to go back to. So I would really, really recommend that. So off we go. So I'll be looking down because I'm reading it along with you. So page 7, there's something missing from the law of attraction. For the law of attraction to work, you have to think positively. However, it's difficult to stay positive all the time. When things go wrong in life, or they don't quite turn out as we expect, it's hard to remain optimistic. Most people saw me as being a positive individual, but when things got hard, I was far from it. Anger had always got the better of me. Sometimes external events would create so much rage within me that I'd want to wreck everything in sight. As a result, I'd enter a downward spiral. I fluctuated constantly from highs to extreme lows. I was like two different people. These inconsistencies were projected onto my life. I'd go through some really good periods and then experience some really bad ones. During the bad times, it was impossible to see the bright side of things. I tended to give in and take out my frustrations on the world by smashing up furniture, speaking rudely to others, and moaning about how terrible it was to live in the world. During my last year of university, I experienced a massive setback in a group project that counted for a significant percentage of my final grade. When my group became divided over how much of a contribution people were making, I tried to be optimistic about it and expected it to work out in the end, but it didn't. It got really messy. It suddenly seemed clear that the law of attraction didn't always work. My group was completely divided, arguing constantly over our individual roles and how much effort each member was putting in, just months before graduation. Things got out of control and harsh words were exchanged. Unfortunately, there was no way to fix the issue. My friend Darryl and I felt that we were treated very unfairly, but there wasn't much we could do about it, other than work 10 times harder with looming deadlines that seemed impossible to meet, especially on top of the rest of our workload. We were convinced we'd fail our assignments and the exams, and therefore be unable to graduate. It felt like we'd wasted our entire time at university. I had gone to university because I felt like I had to, It was what you were supposed to do if you wanted a good job and a comfortable life, which I hadn't experienced during my childhood. But deep down, I didn't really want to be there. I didn't enjoy it. I always knew I wouldn't end up in a traditional job. I was doing this for my mum more than anything. I watched her struggle my whole life and wanted to show her that it hadn't been in vain. Now that I was so close to the finish line, it was all going to be taken away from me. All I could think about was letting my mum down, letting myself down, and all the money wasted on a degree that I was going to fail. It was for nothing. I was overcome by negative thoughts. I told my mum I was going to leave university as I had no reason to be there. I hated it and it was unfair what I was going through. My rage needed a scapegoat, so I blamed her for everything. Lovingly, she tried to convince me to stay and do the best I could, but in anger, I only argued with her even more. I really feel for this situation. I was fed up with the endless problems and I wanted to leave everything behind. I had no reason to live and no purpose in life. My low state even led me to revisit some of my worst memories, which just added more fuel to the fire, convincing me that my life was worthless. What was the point in having dreams if I could never manifest them? I convinced myself I was living a lie and kidding myself that I could do big things. It seemed clear right then great things were never meant for me. So I trawled through employment websites and applied for a variety of jobs that looked fairly interesting and paid well, even though I wasn't qualified for them. I thought that if I could land one, it wouldn't seem like a complete failure, and I would at least have some money to help out my family with their debts, bills, and expenses, including my sister's weddings. In my covering letters, I explained that although I was underqualified, I'd be the perfect employee. No one responded. Underneath it all, I knew I couldn't quit university when I'd already come so far. I'd expended so much energy trying to find a way out of the problem, but now it was time to face what had to be done and hope for the best. But first, I had my eldest sister's wedding to attend. This added more pressure. It meant that I'd have to hand in an assignment earlier than everyone else and take time off university just 2 months before my final deadlines, which would set me back even more. Stubbornly, I told my family that I couldn't go to the wedding, even though I knew I'd forever regret missing such an important event. In the end, I did go, albeit reluctantly. And as soon as I got there, something unexpected happened. I felt calm and relaxed. The wedding was in Goa, India, and it was beautiful. Everyone there was shining bright with happiness and love for my sister and her new husband. Honestly, at this point, I wasn't trying to feel positive. I was comfortable feeling down and feeling sorry for myself, and I wanted others to feel sorry for me too. But this new environment created a welcome shift in me. For the first time in ages, I felt grateful. I'll always remember my sister's wedding, and it taught me a lot about how the universe operates. On my return home, the positive feelings stayed with me. I felt good and very calm about the chaos outside of me, and my renewed steadiness motivated me to finish what needed to be done. I created a dummy scorecard that displayed the overall mark I would receive for my degree. I'd stare at this for a few minutes each day, whilst pretending that the impressive grade on the scorecard was real. I didn't quite believe that I'd achieve it. It was merely a desire, but I did believe that I would do well nonetheless. I made up my mind to go to the library every single day for hours on end. I put in the huge amount of extra work needed to complete the group assignment and more. During my breaks, I took time to chat with positive people who were able to make me feel good about myself. One of them was the woman I'd eventually fallen in love with for life. When it came to exam time, handing in assignments and doing the final year presentation, I was confident that I'd done enough. As it turned out, I didn't quite get the marks that were on my dummy scorecard, but I did pass comfortably. And I aced one of the hardest exams on my course, which came as a surprise. I went on to have similar success by using the law of attraction, but overall the results were hit and miss. I knew I was missing something. When I found out what this was, I began to have more consistent success. I was able to test this on others to see if they'd also benefit from my discovery, and they did. In fact, many of them were able to do things that had once seemed impossible. Not everything I've wanted has manifested. This has usually been a blessing in disguise. Too many times I've believed that I wanted and needed something, but it was for all the wrong reasons. Over the years, I've gained clarity and sighed with relief for not getting what I thought was surely meant for me. Often, I've not got what I wanted, only to find I've later been blessed with even more. I love this chapter because, one, it's brutally honest about how Vex was feeling really sorry for himself. And I think, I don't think there's a single person listening to this that won't have gone through those stages multiple times in their lives. Sometimes we do all feel sorry for ourselves, and it's quite important to go there, not suppress it. But look how quickly things can turn around. So let's get on to the next chapter and see what happens next. Page 13, the law of vibration. The universe responds to your vibration. It will return whatever energy you put out. We hear this a lot. I'm just pausing straight away on this one because we hear this so much about the law of vibration, and we get back like a boomerang exactly what we put out. But how many of us really believe it, and how many of us are really observing what's manifesting in our lives and why that is? Beyond the law of attraction is the law of vibration. It's the key component to a greater life. Once you learn and apply the ideas around this law, your life will transform. This isn't to say that you'll avoid all difficulties. What you will do, though, is find a way to take control and create a life that feels just as good as it looks. Now, one of the earliest authors of self-improvement literature is Napoleon Hill. His 1937 book, Think and Grow Rich, remains one of the best-selling books of all time, and many of the world's greatest entrepreneurial gurus praise its guidance to achieving success. Hill's research for his book included interviews with 500 successful men and women to find out what they'd done to attain their success. He then shared the wisdom he'd accumulated from them. Among his conclusions, he claimed, "We are what we are because of the vibrations of thought which we pick up and register through the stimuli of our everyday environment." Hill makes many references to the concept of vibration in this book, and you'll see the word vibration. Today it's commonly abbreviated to vibe, a number of times in my book too. That was one of the first set of self-improvement books that I read, the Napoleon Hill Think and Grow Rich. Absolutely brilliant. And actually, I've got several people in my life, including my husband, where it was really, really transformational for him. So I really recommend, if anyone hasn't read that, they read that. It's a brilliant read. Yet many later editions of Hill's book removed any mention of the word vibration. Perhaps the publishers didn't believe the world was ready for Hill's concept. Even today, metaphysical laws related to vibration are under criticism due to lack of scientific evidence. Oh, that's so annoying. Despite this, there have been a number of attempts to explain the law of vibration. Scientist Dr. Bruce Lipton and author Greg Braden are among those at the forefront of bringing the gap between science and spirituality. I think everyone knows how much I love those two. Their ideas on how our thoughts affect our lives support the concepts suggested by the law of vibration, even if some believe it to be no more than modern pseudoscience. I bet those people who think it's pseudoscience aren't attracting what they want into their lives. Regardless, I, for one, have found the law of vibration resonates deeply with me and helps me make sense of life. And I know many others have discovered this too. I've seen miraculous changes occur from using the law of vibration. And whether you become a believer or remain on the other side of the fence, throughout this book, you'll learn that the law of vibration does no harm. Sometimes first-hand experience is more valuable than any data measurable in numbers and graphs. I so believe that. So what is the law of vibration? To begin with, remember that everything is made up of atoms, and every atom is a little vibration. Therefore, all matter and energy is vibrational by nature. If you think back to school, you were taught that solids, liquids, and gases are all different states of matter. The frequency of the vibrations at a molecular level defines what state they're in and how they appear to us. Reality, as we perceive it, occurs only through matching vibrations. In other words, for reality to be perceived, we have to be vibrationally compatible with it. The human ear, for example, will only hear sound waves that are between 20 and 20,000 vibrations per second. This doesn't mean that other sound waves don't exist. We just can't perceive them. When a dog whistle is blown, the frequency is above the vibrational range of the human ear and therefore doesn't exist to us. Obviously, it does to the dog. In his book, The Vibrational Universe, spiritual author Kenneth James Michael McLean writes that our five senses, our thoughts, as well as matter and energy, are all vibrational. He argues that reality is perception defined by vibrational interpretation. Our universe is clearly a deep sea of vibrational frequencies, meaning that reality is a vibrational ether that's responsive to changes in vibration. If the universe is responsive to our thoughts, words, feelings, and actions, because, according to McLaren, they're all vibrational, then it's assumed by the law of vibration that we can control our reality. Change the way you think, feel, speak, and act, and you begin to change the world. To bring an idea into an existence, or rather into your perception, you must match its vibrational frequency. The more real or solid something is to you, the closer you are to it vibrationally. This is why when you truly believe in something and act as if it were already true, you increase the chances of it coming into your physical reality. We hear this so much, don't we? There's so many people, whether it's Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, loads of other people, Rhonda Byrne from The Secret. There's so many people that have really been putting it into practice and realize that it's true. And the best way to really do this is to do it yourself. So let's all just make sure we start practicing some of the tips in this book, and let's just see and monitor what results come for us. What have you got to lose? To receive or perceive the reality you wish to have, you must be in energetic harmony with that which you desire. This means that our thoughts, emotions, words, and actions must align with what we want. This can be represented by taking two tuning forks that are calibrated to the same frequency. If you strike one of them so that it starts vibrating, the second fork will also vibrate whilst remaining untouched. The vibration from the struck tuning fork transfers to the untouched tuning fork because they're attuned to the same frequency. They're in vibrational harmony. If they're not in vibrational harmony, then the vibration of the struck tuning fork will not translate to the other. Similarly, to listen to a specific radio station, you have to tune in the receiver to the frequency of that station. This is the only way you can hear it. If you tune into a different frequency, you'll end up listening to a completely different station. It sounds obvious, it really does sound obvious, but these are such important analogies for people to really integrate. Once you're in vibrational resonance with something, you begin to attract it into your reality. The best way to identify what frequency you're on is through your emotions. Your emotions show a true reflection of your energy. Sometimes we can believe we're in a positive state of mind or taking good actions, but deep down we know we're not, we're just pretending. If we pay attention to our emotions, we can see the true nature of our vibration and therefore what we're attracting into our life. If we feel good, we'll think good thoughts, and as a result, we'll take positive actions. This is so important, and I talk a lot about my relationship with animals, and I'm lucky enough to spend my life surrounded by animals. I don't think the chicken on the sofa is being very responsive at the moment, but in all seriousness, it's so important. And, you know, if you're in any doubt about what vibration you're actually in, try looking at how any animals are responding around you if you're lucky enough to have some in your life. If you haven't, get a really honest friend or family member to say what they pick up from you in terms of what they think you're feeling and what vibration you're at. You can use words that make sense to them and to you. But when we're really open to that honest feedback, then we can really start making improvements in our life and attracting in what we want. Because so often, you know, we've got blind spots to where we really are. And it's really important that if we want to move forward and change things in our life, we recognize that. So we're now on page 19, good vibes only. Good vibes are simply higher states of vibration. The term good and positive are used interchangeably to describe something desirable. For example, every time you label a past event as good or positive experience, you're referring it in this way because it went as you'd hoped, or at least not as badly as it could have been. Essentially, you want things that you want because they make you feel good. All of life's desires are pursued to bring about a pleasurable emotional state and to avoid displeasure. Most of us believe that attaining our desires will lead to happiness. Given that emotion is one of the most powerful vibrations you can control, and fundamentally, positive emotions are what we're in search of, we can infer that our quest in life is to experience good vibrations. Think about it. When you feel good, your life also appears to be good. If you could continually experience good vibes, you'll always view your life in a positive light. Physician Dr. Hans Jenny is known for coining the term cymatics, which is a study of visible sound and vibration. Oh, look this up on YouTube. It's amazing. Cymatics, that's spelled C-Y-M-A-T-I-C-S. One of his best-known experiments shows the effect of sound on sand sprinkled onto a flat metal plate that's made to vibrate at different frequencies by stroking a violin bow against its edge. Various patterns are formed depending on the different frequencies. At higher vibrations, beautifully intricate patterns are formed. Lower vibrations produce less appealing shapes. A higher vibration then creates more enjoyable effects. Ideally, we want to feel as loving and joyful as we can in life. These are the highest vibrational feelings and will help us manifest more of what we want, and by extension, more good vibrations. In contrast, feelings of hatred, anger, and despair have very low vibration. They'll attract more of what you don't want. Based on the principle of the law of vibration, to receive good vibes, we must project good vibes. As transmitters and receivers of vibrational frequencies, the vibrations we put out are always pulling in stuff that's vibrationally a similar frequency to us. This means the feelings we put out into the universe will be returned to us through matching vibrations. So if you send out feelings of joy, then you'll be given more things to feel joyful about. The misconception is that you feel good only once you have what you want. The truth is, you can feel good right now. Ultimately, self-love and raising the level of your vibrations go hand in hand. When you make an effort to raise your vibration, you show yourself the love and care you deserve. You'll feel good and attract good. By taking positive actions and changing your mindset, you'll manifest greater things. By loving yourself, you'll live a life you love. So that's the end of part 1. Next time we'll get on to part 2, positive lifestyle habits. There's so much, you know, when you're reading through these things, it's very easy to sort of skip through things and not really take in just the significance of how important these things are. So one of the reasons I thought I'd do this as a book club in short little bite sizes is, depending what time you've got, you can listen to one, or you can listen to, you know, quite a few at once, and you can replay the bits that you need to, just to really make sure it goes into you at a vibrational level. Because so often it's these simple messages that can really transform our life the most. So this week, I think there's loads to think about. Please let me know in the comments below, what experience of this have you got? How do you find that you shift that vibration of yourself? What works for you? And have you tried things that haven't worked for you? And let us know some of the results you've been getting. For me, I speak a lot in a lot of my videos about gratitude. It's so simple. People say, oh, gratitude, being grateful. but it is literally transformative, enough to transform your life. If you're in a state, and if you're really creating an energy of gratitude all through your day, from the moment you wake up to the last thing at night, just watch how much things shift for you. And like Vex said in that chapter, you know, sometimes if we haven't got what we've expected to, or specific things we ask for, often the universe has a reason for it, and something even better comes along to replace it. So I think keeping that open, curious mind to me, and asking, you know, people sort of say, well, how do I know why I'm vibrating at? It's really simple. Look at your life. If things are going how you want in your life, that's a really good reflection that right here, right now, you're vibrating at a really great frequency for yourself. If things aren't in any areas of your life, and I think that's the case for most of us, most people have got some area of their life that they would really like to improve on, then being really honest about what your thoughts are, what your feelings, what you're putting out there, and how that could relate to what you get back. So a good example that I've come across recently is, if you're with friends, or you're the type of person that is taught negatively about others or other situations, then that is a very low vibe, and then that energy is going to come back to you. So try shifting it around. There's quite a few videos I've done on toxic positivity. You'll see that with my friend Bryce on Esoteric Atlanta. But so we're not talking about falsely ignoring or letting abuse happen, or not having good boundaries, and we'll come on to this later in the book, I'm sure. But what we are talking about is making sure that you're not bringing yourself down and attracting into things into your life you don't want to, by focusing on these low vibrational behaviors, emotions, and feelings. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for Vex, and we will be back with part 3 very shortly.